that you're going to have some discussions coming down from the board over the next couple of months about, well, it's great that we've now allowed our workforce to be so remote, but what are we doing to protect our ability to allow our people to be remote? Brian Hookley here with cisolife. Thanks for watching. I think we're entering a really interesting time right now with what's going on in the world. I thought it would be an interesting discussion to have around remote access management. It is a NIST control, PRAC number 3. And if you dig deep enough into NIST and the documentation and even some of the other information made available out there by the fine folks at NIST and Department of Homeland Security, you'll find out that PRAC 3 is actually the #1 risk-ranked priority control within the NIST cybersecurity framework version 1.1. In fact, it was even the #1 risk-ranked priority control in version 1.0. That's how important it is. And quite honestly, when you look across the ecosphere of other standards and controls that are out there that we're all held to, whether it's the SEC, New York State DFS, or others, you'll find that remote access management is very high on the list of things to be concerned about. This is something that you should be looking at, obviously, as a CISO, or if you're in a small or mid-sized business, as a business owner or founder, CTO, CIO, whatever your role is within the organization, it's your responsibility to look at and secure. I think a big area that we've seen with clients and with discussions has been around remote access, not just to traditional infrastructure through VPN, but also to email. With the major movements of the adoption of Microsoft Office 365, G Suite as the predominant email players of choice, those systems which were traditionally sitting inside of an organization's own infrastructure are now residing in the cloud. And I think more and more breaches happening or stemming from phishing attempts. You can kind of look back at, well, was the actual access to those systems looked at, viewed in the same way, and secured in the same manner as traditional infrastructures were? And from what I've seen previously, and again, working with clients, the answer is no. It's an area that's, I think, grossly overlooked and needs to kind of be reined into the regular practices around security. So I think it's interesting now with what's going on in the world, coronavirus being I think a catalyst to maybe people start thinking that you're going to have some discussions coming down from the board over the next couple of months about, well, it's great that we've now allowed our workforce to be so remote, but what are we doing to protect our ability to allow our people to be remote? And again, looking at the NIST controls, PRAC number 3, is your remote access managed? And when you couple it with the other NIST controls that exist, are you securing it in a meaningful and reasonable way? And I think the ground stakes are no longer just a username and password, but also the implementation of some sort of multi-factor authentication. So my advice to everyone out there in cisolife land, obviously be implementing MFA, but take a hard look at where you need to implement MFA. I don't think it's just on your clear regular infrastructure, but also your cloud-based applications. I think it's going to be a big discussion that you're going to see coming from the board, coming from executive leadership. The question you should be asking yourself, probably a lot of us are going to be talking about over the next year or two, is what is an impact of a forced remote workforce have on an organization that security needs to think about? You're going to work with the CIO or the IT side, or maybe just yourself if you're a small enough shop, to determine what it is to make those people still able to be productive and work. But you've really got to think about, what is it I can do to make sure that they can work securely, as well as I can protect the company's own assets. Anyway, just an idea, thought I'd throw it out there. Again, this is Brian Hookley with cisolife. Hopefully next time we'll talk to you. We're back in our studio, but until then, take care.